This regular meeting of the Navasota City Council is called to order on this Monday, the 28th of May in council chambers. Let the record show that all council members are present. We ask that you please put your cell phones in the silent mode. Thank you for being here this evening. Reminder to visitors, please sign in. If you wish to speak under visitors' remarks, please fill out the form found in the back. State your name and address at the podium, as we must document all meeting business and remarks limited to 3 minutes. Tonight's invocation will be led by Pastor Mac Vaughn, then followed by the pledges.
We gather once again. What a day this is. The Lord has made, right? Hello? Okay, let's pray. Oh, gracious God, we thank you that we've assembled here today to take care of the city's business. We thank you for the vision that you've given each of our city leaders, God. We just ask that they approach all with grace and your spirit in mind. God, we just ask that we go from this place, that we conduct our business in a way that will honor you. God, we thank you for this wonderful town, wonderful county, and our leaders. We thank you for those who protect us, our fire, first responders, and our law enforcement that are all doing a bang-up job. God, we just thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Item number 4, we would like to take this opportunity at the beginning of the council meeting so she can actually leave and then not have to stay around for all this business, right? Give the opportunity for city council and staff to recognize former council member and free of all this stuff, Miss Patty Peterson. If you would come forward, please, ma'am. And if you have any parting words, you're welcome to do that at this time, but we would like to take this opportunity to honor you and thank you on behalf of the city for your service, 4 years to the city of Navasota, and hate to see you go, but do appreciate the time you spent with us and all that you gave to the city during that period of time and prior to that too.
Well, thank you. I really don't know what to say. I love this. And I don't know if y'all all noticed that all the city employees have a little piece of purple in their hair for me. They're going to make me cry.
I got a little bit here.
Oh my God,
No,
I
you're not
love
doing
it.
paint anymore.
I don't, yeah.
Today.
Well, I
Look at Lupe.
embraced my gray. He's my favorite. That is something else. I really don't know what to say. It was always my privilege and honor to serve up there. Y'all, of course, aren't getting rid of me completely. I'll still be bugging the crap out of everybody.
She still is.
That's still texting him like I've got something to say. I really don't. I don't know. It was one of my my most honored privileges. It really has been. It always will be too. It's just something. I don't know. I love Navasota. I'm glad to see it grow. I'm glad to leave it in good hands, all of y'all. And if y'all mess up, I'll have all of y'all's phone numbers. I'll
We'd
be
like
sure
to
to
present
let you
you
know. I love it.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty awesome.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I think Pat Greener had something to say about the pitch.
Yes,
I'll do it under
Pat,
remarks.
come on forward, please. Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
You have to come to the podium, state your name and address.
Pat Gruner, 721 Johnson. Patty, some of us wear pink in our hair tonight to honor you for your service to the city that we all love. I'm going to be honest. Some of us didn't know what to think when you appeared. Pink hair, purple hair, blue hair. You were definitely the first to sit at that table with pink hair. However, it was soon apparent that you were smart, capable, and willing to work hard, as well as, and the whole time you were you. Thank you, Patty, for leading Navasota, poring over the budgets, the contracts, all the planning sessions, late night meetings, and reviewing all the applications for a new city manager and helping find a great one. Encouraging our great city staff and employees for representing every citizen and helping further refine this city to becoming so much more so close. Navasota will always remember and appreciate you, pink hair and all.
My name is John McKay, and no, I wouldn't take that name for nothing, not right now, anyway. But no, I wanted to remind Pat Gruner that she fell short of her job for the oath and swearing in of Kenny. One of the prerequisites of the whole thing was he had to dye his hair. There you go.
It's white.
We're gonna miss you, girl.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Patty, do you want your picture with the council maybe, and then with staff?
Yeah, you want to come
Yeah.
on now?
Lord.
Come on, Jason.
We'll do that. You do the council, then we'll all come up there.
Yeah, let's bring it up here.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Can y'all see?
All right, staff. All purple staff. Come on.
You're showing me.
I don't know what we're doing. Okay. Now, right down there in the middle.
I'm feeling it. Now scooch a little
We like to.
bit. Yeah. I couldn't see you in the picture and let Ethan take it. The bird takes it. I need to come from mine. No, right here. Give us a This is city staff. Was it me? Not what they're gonna let me yell about, Ted. I saw the agenda. Thank you all.
And at this time, City of Navasota would like to recognize the top 10 Navasota High School graduates, of our top 10 in Navasota High School. If any are here with us tonight, would you please join us up at the front? A proclamation recognizing Navasota High School top 10 graduates class of 2024. Whereas the Navasota High School class of 2024 will graduate Friday, May 24th. Recognize the following as top 10 graduating seniors. Whereas Jaden Dacus, valedictorian, plans to attend Texas A&M University and major in kinesiology. Ann Haug, salutatorian, plans to attend the Mays Business School at Texas A&M, major in marketing. Matthew Sosa plans to attend Washington and Lee University and pursue a degree in political science. Brianna Stokes plans to attend the University of Texas at Austin and major in nursing. Leoncie Williams plans to attend the University of Texas at Austin and major in nursing. Emily LeBlue plans to attend Texas A&M University to pursue a degree in early childhood education. Megan Poindexter plans to attend Pacific University and study development psychology. Stella Palacios plans to attend the University of Texas at Austin and pursue a degree in business. Francisco Herrera plans to attend the University of Texas at Austin and major in mechanical engineering. And Olivia Perez plans to attend the University of Texas at Austin and major in biology, biochemistry, and pre-med. Y'all gonna be real busy. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Burt Miller, the Mayor of the City of Navasota, do hereby congratulate and recognize these students as the top 10 seniors of the graduating class of 2024 for Navasota High School. City of Navasota is proud of your accomplishment and wish you the very best in your future endeavors. Signed this 28th day of May. We're not quite done with the pride that we have at Navasota High School here. We have quite a recognition here for another time that in recent times we've had someone that has competed statewide in competition in athletics. At this time I'd like to ask Natalie Nobles to join me up here at the front, please. You can bring Dad with you too if you'd like. Proclamation recognizing Natalie Nobles Class 4A UI Girls Golf State Tournament. Natalie Nobles is a native of Navasota and a freshman at Navasota High School. An ultimate competitor in the world of junior golf, has battled her way up to the top by competing in many tournaments throughout the year. Competed in her first ever Class 4A UIL Girls Golf State Tournament in Austin, where she shot a 75 on her first day and a 72 on the second day for a total score of 147. Natalie finished third place and received a bronze medal for her accomplishment, third in the state. We'd like to commend Natalie for an exciting, hard-fought, and successful year, and proud of all of her accomplishments. Only a freshman, too. It's a great pleasure to express to Natalie Nobles, on behalf of the City Council and all the citizens of Navasota, our sincere congratulations and pride. Therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Burt Miller, Mayor of the City of Navasota, urge citizens of Navasota to join me in honoring Natalie Nobles for her accomplishment of winning the bronze medal at the 4A UIL State Girls Golf Tournament in Austin, and wish her good luck at any and all future golf endeavors. Signed this 28th day of May, 2024.
No matter what we do, we'll do it together. That's right.
Dad, did you want to come up and get a closer picture?
Come on.
Okay.
You know, they can take two pictures at one time. How are your scores, Kurt?
Sir?
How are your scores?
Golf scores?
Golf.
Yeah,
How are yours?
not bad. Not bad. Yeah, I jumped the gun a little bit here. Remarks of visitors. We had, I think two of these were on a specific item. Dia Copeland.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Dia Copeland, 1000 Grimes Street, Navasota, Texas. Last Thursday at the Planning and Zoning meeting, there was quite a discussion about parks, and so I guess I kind of want to continue that for a second. Mr. Weeks mentioned that there are 11 parks in the city of Navasota, and so I was kind of blown away by that, thinking, does everybody know where all those 11 parks are? You know, as far as the public, and do we have any idea the usage of those parks? How often they're used, how much they're used? Can we track that in some ways? The question the other night was regarding developers wanting concessions on park placements in some of the new subdivisions. But I guess my major question, I have two of them. What do the public want? What do they want as far as parks? You know, have we asked anybody? You know, I mean, if people don't know there's 11 parks, have we asked them, you know, number one, do you know about them? Number two, do you like them? Are you using them? Are you going to use more? What do you want? And then another question that I have is, and I didn't realize it till today, I've lived, in July I will have lived here 17 years. I can't believe I've lived here that long. And I've asked over and over and over again. I've asked Brad, I asked Lance, I've asked Mr. Weeks, how much money is in the park fund? I asked Ryan, I asked the director before that, and I have never gotten an answer. You know, it's on all of our water bills, you know, there's $1 that goes to the park fund, but nobody seems to know what money's in that fund or what it's being spent for. And I think that people would be thrilled to donate to the parks if they knew what it went for. And if they could see progress and stuff with that money. But I still don't have any answer. And so I guess that's my question. And so thank you again for listening.
Okay, Mr. Weeks, I'll hand it over to you.
On the next item. So at this time, John McKay is going to come up and give us a CIP update.
Evening, Mayor and Council. John McKay, graduate engineer. So I was hoping to come up here today and tell you that all the paving between Brosig and that side of town was done, but that storm today kind of caught us a little bit off guard, so we got a little bit more cleanup work to do on North Post Oak. But I hope y'all are seeing the paving's progressing along pretty quickly. Fairway Drive is in process now. The Last week, we were able to successfully finish the water connections at Moore Street, so that one's on the chopping block to get more, get new road in as well. And that project's actually progressing fairly smoothly right now, and I hope I did not just jinx it. Other projects, we had our water tower. We actually today held a pre-construction meeting with the contractor that we awarded to. He flew in from Louisville, Kentucky, to meet with us, get eyes on the site, look at everything, talk about the specifics of the job. That went very well. They're actually reaching out right now they're trying to reach out to local RV parks. One of the nice things about projects like this is they bring in out-of-town crews and they have to stay somewhere. So while this project's going on, you're going to have, welders staying here locally. They're trying to find exactly where, but it's just a little plus on these projects. Over at the wastewater plant, blower, we have commissioning of that replacement blower scheduled for the 16th. We're confident we're going to make that date. We have all parts in hand. And the first rotor, we actually have all the parts for both rotors. The guy has some time this weekend, and we worked with Matt Julian, our chief operator, to make sure he'll have access to work on some of that rotor work this weekend. One of them's already pulled, so he can start replacing some of the blades on it, get that knocked out in some free time that he has. So that's kind of the big highlights of where we are. Y'all have any other questions?
Yeah, John, can you answer this question here for me? For the council, I guess. For the CIP project, when we bid those out, we bid them out to a contractor.
Correct.
Okay. Why is the city working on them also?
So that's more for the unforeseen things that are going on when the city's working on stuff. One thing is the water turnoffs. That's standard in these projects. That's where you see a lot of work on valves and fixing valves that we need and stuff like that. There's an expectation that the water can be shut off. And that's the city's responsibility on projects like this. So what you're seeing is us working to find the old valves, find the valves that were going on, repair them if they're a critical valve, etc. Other things you're seeing is like some services. A good example, East Hill Street. We had 3 gas services that we needed lowered. We went ahead and we did not have the bandwidth at the time to do anything, and it cost money out of the maintenance to get those services lowered. You have no way to know where those are vertically underneath the dirt. So you know where they should have been. That's chances are not where you find them, especially in older areas. So you're stuck kind of between a rock and a hard place of this unknown stuff that's stopping. Like you're seeing a lot of work over on Foster right now, I'm sure. There were 9 services in a gas main that were installed, I think 1.5 feet below ground instead of 3 foot, which is our standard. Had they been at 3 foot, it would have been fine. But sometime back in the 70s or 80s when that stuff was put in, it wasn't. And so now we're having to deal with that, and we're trying to balance staying within the budget and utilizing our own people who are plenty competent enough to do the work. It takes time. Versus when do we need to go ahead and actually get the contractor going on it. And that's a more expensive but doesn't take our guys' time. So it's a balancing act, and we're using both, honestly. But it's these unforeseen things, like, a big one that they saw was over at Milliken Street. There was a 6-inch valve that worked 2 months ago. We went to turn it a few weeks back. It was broke. In that 2 months, something had gone wrong in that valve underground. So I could have either came and used one of those line stop inserted valves that we discussed, to the tune of $7,000, $10,000, or we could go fix it, and we were able to use that as an opportunity to do something better, because before, if there, like when the water went off, we had that water leak under LaSalle. We had to temporarily shut down water service at the school. We don't have to do that anymore. We were able to improve our system, making a good plan with Michael Bean and all the folks out in the field. We were able to improve our system at the same time as keeping this project going without having to use one of those inserted valves or those line stops. So those are kind of the times that we tend to use our guys, is when there's something else out of it, or the price is just silly to have a contractor come do it. It's one of those 2 times. But there are a lot of things that the contractor's doing to help us out. There are. Does that answer your question? Somewhat?
Yeah.
Okay,
I have a comment,
okay.
and, we're doing a great job on this project, on the CIP, with all these streets. The flash questionnaire that went out here a week or so ago, one of the main problems that people had was with our streets. It's been a long time that they've been working on those. We had major work to do. We've done it so that we won't have to do it anytime in the near future. But we never managed to tell the people when these jobs are finished. And we're not getting credit for the good work that's being done type thing. So I would like to see more. I know it's not the official organ of the city or anything like that, but maybe Facebook. God help me for suggesting YouTube. But maybe Facebook, all of these streets, as we finish each one, I'm having a shot down that, because that's what the people seem to respond to, and invite them to drive down it.
Yeah.
And see this thing. So we need to be a better PR for ourselves.
Fair. I'll work with
Don't forget, yep.
marketing.
Absolutely.
That's good.
I guess one other short one, I totally forgot, it's the Tech Stop project, but I know it's got eyes on it, the Brosig sidewalk. You'll notice there's 2 missing chunks. We're hoping to take care of those this week or next. They found some old water meters. We're actually tomorrow morning, I'm picking up the boxes so they can get those set. But other than that, they're just kind of waiting on the bridge right now, and they'll just have the bridge and the trailway is all that's left on that. That's not us, but I know that those are looking nice. Speaking of good PR, if you haven't been down there and seen those sidewalks, the contractor there, it's a local fella, it's Fuquay Construction, did a very good job on those sidewalks. So,
When you said trailway,
they're actually connecting, what's that? It's where what's that first word, Julia, where it takes that dog leg over? I'm forgetting the other name of the street.
It's Neil.
Neil? So Julia and Neil, they're actually, part of this project is they're putting a little pathway right there where they've got all that orange fencing on the east side of the creek. They're gonna be kind of doing a little trail thing there to connect those areas.
so you'll be able to walk along the creek.
Yeah.
Not quite. That's more of what we have over at the Cleveland Park area. But it will connect you. You don't have to go all the way down to Water Street and cut back over and go up. You'll have a little cut through there to get some more connectivity to that area of town.
Yeah, it's along the creek.
Yeah.
It's along.
I guess it is for a little
From one side
bit.
to the other.
Yeah, it's just a couple hundred feet of it, but yeah.
Behind Coleman's back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a couple hundred feet by the creek right there.
Yeah. Very good.
All I got. Thank y'all.
Thank you, John.
Any reports from council on boards and commissions?
Yes, on last Thursday, the Board of Adjustment did meet, and they did approve the variance request by Shauna Yuki at 803 McNair Street. After the meeting, the Board of Adjustment, they did talk among themselves for a while. That I thought that was pretty interesting. Most of these small homes that are being built right now is being built with driveways with no carport on it, and they feel like that they would probably see more of these adjustments coming before them, and thought that we may need to revisit our ordinance again about when you build houses, about getting all this taken care of up front. So that may be something interesting that we may want to take a look at or somewhat have a workshop on, but it was pretty interesting just to sit and listen to them talk among themselves. Is that right, Mac?
The P&Z meeting last Thursday, and the items in that are be brought up later in this meeting.
All right, just for point of information, tonight, while we're here at council, the Bazell Academy is having their graduation tonight at Brosig. And coming up on the 6th of June, There'll be a wreath laying at the VFW monument here on the Esplanade for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. So be sure and if you can come to that, and also it'll keep the pace slow there on the roadway. Mike will be watching, and that's at 1:30 on the 6th of June. And then just coming up, the first of our City of Navasota Sounds of Summer is coming up on the 14th of June. The Texas Eagles Band, and that's at 7 here at City Hall. And then on July 19th is Mango Punch, and 8 on August 9th is Brown Sugar Band. So put those on your calendar.
Mayor, I got a couple of items also to add to it. So we've got Family Fishing Day. Family Fishing Day will be at Patu Pond from 9 to 12, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on June 15th, Saturday, June 15th. So a great family, bring your fishing pole and join us for a day of catch and release fishing. We'll provide the bait and the fun. So that's...
We'll have some poles too if you don't have one,
so
right?
Family Fishing Day, Saturday, June 15th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. noon at Patu Pond. Also, this was our first big day yesterday at the pool. So the pool opened for public swim for Memorial Day, and we had about 145 people show up for the first day. Unfortunately, we had to close it early today because of the weather, but we had a good day yesterday. Also, want to make note that our new Parks and Recreation Manager has put together a senior calendar. We're in the process of putting that out on our Facebook page as well on our website. It will have from 9 to around noon each day during the month of June. We'll have activities for seniors at the Navasota Center, so be looking out for that. Also, tonight is Navasota City University, Citizens University, and it's actually being held at the library because it's over the Parks and Recreation Department and the library. So that's why our Community Service Director was able to make it tonight. She's hosting that. And then also want to invite everybody to the Juneteenth Community Celebration, which is Saturday, June 22nd at Grace Park from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll have a live DJ, yard games, inflatable slide, and then Bite My Ice snow cones will be there. So bring your own lunch and lawn chairs and enjoy a great time to fellowship and enjoy some great entertainment and then some food.
Jason, did we ever get a physical address at that
We
location?
have requested it. We have not got the address yet. I think it's Gray Street deads into the property there, so and I don't think we've gotten anything back from the appraisal district yet, but we have put in a request for it. So hopefully we'll have that soon.
You could say the corner of Grace and, what's that cross street there? Ella?
Ella.
Grace and
You could
Ella.
say Grace and Ella, that would be a start.
And that's all I got, Mayor.
Okay. Item 6, consideration of possible action on the quarterly investment report for the second quarter of fiscal year 23-24.
Good evening. So I'm just going to give a brief summary of the performance in Q2. So we earned $156,517 in investment income. This is a 15.58% increase from the previous quarter. Slightly over half of the city's investments are investment pools. 20% are in CDs. The last CD that we have right now will mature in FY27. And then the remainder of our funds or investment funds are in a money market account. Since the last report, one of our CDs matured, and those funds were moved over to the new investment pool that we became enrolled in, and you should see that in our Q3 investment report.
I see that we have some of these funds invested in municipal bonds. Is that unusual, or is that a usual practice?
Yes.
The advantage of mutual fund, or mutual being that they're not taxable, and taxable shouldn't enter into it, you are. In answer to Ms. Copeland's questioning, the voluntary park fund has $99,786.54 in it. And that's all in this report. Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the quarterly financial statement.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gessner, second by Mr. Fultz to approve the quarterly investment report for the second quarter, fiscal year 23-24. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, item carried.
Thank you.
Item 7, consideration and possible action on Resolution 769-24, adopting the Grimes County 2024 Hazard Mitigation Plan to take effect immediately upon final approval of the plan by FEMA.
Mayor and City Council, we've been working with the Grimes County Emergency Management Office and Atkins Consulting over the past few years, trying to update the hazard mitigation plan. The plan has been reviewed and sent to FEMA. It was reviewed by the Texas Division of Emergency Management. FEMA actually just sent back comments late last week, in which they're requesting some more information from Grimes County. So we'll be meeting later this week with Atkins and our TDM officer, as well as a representative from FEMA, to get some clarification on what they're asking for. But in the meantime, we're asking that you adopt the plan. Once FEMA approves it, it'll go into effect immediately, and it'll open us at Grimes County and the other municipalities in Grimes County up for some hazard mitigation funding.
First of all, I'd like to commend you and the other members of the committee that did all the work on this thing. One of the big changes I saw in there was adding earthquakes in as one of the hazards.
That is,
there hasn't been any earthquake activity here in Grimes County since, what, 1914?
correct. And that's one of the things that they've come
You
back.
remember that, Bernie?
That's actually one of the comments that came back. They're wanting some more information pertaining to earthquakes in the plan. So we're having to go back and fix some of those items or add some stuff to that. We don't understand.
So FEMA generated that rather than.
Yeah, we don't quite understand earthquakes, so we don't know exactly what we're supposed to put in there. Maybe when Raina gets back, she can help us.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve Resolution 769-24.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fultz, second by Mr. Gessner to approve Resolution 769-24, adopting the Grimes County 2024 Hazard Mitigation Plan, take effect immediately upon final approval by FEMA. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries.
Thank you.
Bless you. Item 8, we're going to conduct a public hearing to receive public comment and testimony regarding a specific use permit application submitted to the City of Navasota by Neil Martinson. Is it Neelius? Neelius, LLC. Wanted to pronounce it right. For the property located at 202 Holland Street, Navasota, Grimes County, Texas. Specific use permit application request to allow for the operation of a vendor market. The property affected is legally described as H&TC Block 108, Lot 1 and 2. Consideration and possible action, well, actually, we'll come back to that, but the hearing opens at 6:43.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, good evening. Lupe Diosdado, Development Services. To briefly summarize this application, as Mr. Martin already chimed in, Neil Martinson is here representing this application. This specific use permit application is for 202 Holland Street, which is the vacant lot behind City Hall, where a building was recently demolished, and recently about 6 months or so. So a specific use permit is required when someone wants to operate a use on their property that is not listed as a permitted or conditional use within the Central Business District. In this case, a vendor market is not listed in the CBD, and so a specific use permit is required. Those permits, if granted, are granted to the property owner and are not transferable when the property changes hands, if and when that happens. This item was considered by Planning and Zoning Commission last Thursday. They voted unanimously to approve the ordinance as presented. There was some concerns raised about the porta potties being there long-term. However, no restrictions were added in the conditions. In your packet, you have a copy of the ordinance, which outlines the special conditions. The first two, A and B, they're really just boilerplate, saying if there's anything that happens in the future, they have to comply with city requirements. The big things are C, D, and E, which outline the operating hours for the vendor market, excluding the second Saturday of the month. We have that in there specifically to not overlap with the city's farmers market at the library. Last one is operating outside of Saturday and Sunday is permitted with authorization of the city manager. And then, of course, there's some electrical outlets maybe planned in the future, right, Neil? And so if that does happen, they have to be installed within 6 months. And I believe that is all the information for that.
Where will the electrical outlets be? Will they be on the whole thing or just?
Neil? Oh, and one thing I will add before Neil answers that question is, Neil, if you could you elaborate a little bit on the food? There's some information on the packet that says certain foods are not allowed and certain foods are, and so just if you can elaborate, please.
How are y'all doing today? Good seeing y'all. As far as electrical goes, if I talk too fast, let me know. I have a habit of that, so I apologize. As far as electrical goes, we were just going to do it on the side of Farquhar Street, so that way if there's going to be any kind of food trucks or anything like that coming in. But honestly, in this kind of market, there's really not a whole lot of need for electrical, to be honest with you. A lot of the food trucks can either bring their own generators if we decide to go that route or whatever, but if it presents a need, we can do that in the future, but as of right now, it's not something we're real serious about. So.
Okay.
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
When there's no market day, I know what that lot looks like right now.
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like when there's nothing happening?
Exactly the same as it looks right now. There won't be anything left on it.
No board structures, any of that stuff?
No, it's going to be exact same. It's my whole idea was this thing, so that way when you guys get here on Monday morning, everything will look exactly as it did, whenever you guys left on Friday. So there won't be any difference on that.
There was some question about possibly the porta potties staying.
Yeah, we can figure that. I mean, I'm real agreeable and easy. Yeah, we can figure that out. But I mean, I was my goal was to put at least 2 porta potties and a hand washing station kind of back of the property for folks. I mean, if we're gonna have that many folks coming through with vendors, stuff like that, it's gonna be necessary, to kind of go from there, but lock them up.
Lock 'em.
Yeah. I was gonna have some, maybe hire the patrol or something like that to make sure on guard. I'm really not that. But yeah, I'll lock them up, yes, sir. But it's actually pretty simple. I mean, this whole thing was, unfortunately, last time we met, that building, which, man, it broke my heart to have to take it down, but unfortunately, it was just in really, really bad repair, unfortunately. And so, at this point, I think it'd be kind of cool on the weekends, I just see a lot of other areas, I was saying before, my family and I, like, we just went to Waco for the weekend, went to the silos and the zoo and all that kind of stuff, and, there's always a vendor market going on downtown. Seems like a really good idea. I'm always into antiques and classics, stuff like that. I think it'd be a really cool outlet for a lot of folks. Kind of get some other clientele downtown as well, which would be kind of nice. Kind of it'd be heavily marketed, which would be awesome as well. Trying to get more folks down. So,
Neil,
yes, sir.
I've got a question here. Operating on property on Saturday and Sunday from the hours of 7 a.m. and 4 p.m., excluding the second Saturday of each month. I know that the farmers market is going on at the library, but we're trying to get people into Navasota. I mean, once you get through over here, you can go to the farmers market and come over here. I mean, are you satisfied with that? I mean,
I'm easy. I mean, as far as it goes, it was thrown in there. So, I mean, if you guys want to take it out, that'd be awesome. But, I was just trying to appease. I mean, at this point, I figured you guys have the best judgment on what's best, for Navasota. So,
can the staff tell us why that was put in there?
Well, one of the things was we didn't want to compete with have it competing with what we have out there now with the farmers market. I'm pretty sure that Martha's Bloomers is in the same weekend when they have their events. It's not the same as our farmers market. So ideally, staggering the events, bring somebody in every weekend was the idea, and not take away from one of our events.
Question. It doesn't say, but I don't know what's all been sold up at the farmers market because I hadn't been there yet. But will you be selling the same thing?
No, so the farmers market's a great idea, and I love that they have a lot of great vendors come in. Honestly, a lot of it, especially even Martha's Bloomers, they do a lot of like artisan stuff. So it's a lot of stuff that's handmade, and this will be a kind of different feel. This will be in addition to that because I love that sort of bringing it in, but it'll also be folks with. So I'm into sports cards as well. You know what I mean? So you have sports card vendors, comics, antiques, all that kind of good stuff that would kind of come out. It's just a different vibe than, a lot of the other stuff, which I think is kind of cool because we don't have much of that here. And, my main thing is, it's kind of, if you got somebody that's looking to try to get rid of some of that stuff, it's kind of difficult, I mean, whether you can have a garage sale, which we're not doing garage sale stuff, but I mean, there's just not a lot of outlets, right? You don't want to put on Facebook Marketplace, you don't know who's going to come to the house, or some people aren't computer inclined to put on eBay or something like that. So it'd be a really cool outlet, you know what I mean? If somebody want to come out on a Saturday or Sunday to kind of be able to offload some stuff that they have that's kind of cool. So no, to answer your question, it's not going to be it won't be the same stuff as far as that goes. And as far as Lupe was talking about food, any kind of food vendors we have come in, if they're actually like a food truck, they got to have a food license to be able to sell that kind of stuff. But baked goods and stuff like that typically don't. So, if they have something small, then that'd be a little different deal. But it's real simple.
But you're not competing at all on the farmers' produce?
I'm not trying to compete with anybody. That's not the goal. So again, it's a different vibe. It's a different type of market is what I'm trying to explain. So that's why I'm not saying.
More like a trade days.
Yeah, it's exactly like a trader's market.
Like a Canton or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly like a Canton. Yes, sir. Exactly right. So it's just a different feel is what I'm trying to say. So it's not a farmer's market. It's not going to be vegetables and produce and honey is what I'm trying to say. It's going to be a lot more of antiques and a lot of different antiques stuff like that, which would be kind of fun. Which I'm super into. So I love it. I mean, I've got a booth over at Circle P, man. That's what I love. I'm into it, man. So I love the antique stuff. I can't pass a garage sale or estate sale. Ask my wife. It's brutal. So it's bad, yeah.
Neil, one of the things that I find that I'm concerned with, and I've heard from other folks as well, we used to have kind of a vendor market kind of thing that was next to Dairy Queen, and it started off that it was just on the weekend, and then it became a perpetual garage sale just over time. Would you be okay, and is it okay to put a year's time period on this application? Could we say that we'll grant it today and then a year from now we'll look at it again to
Review
see
it.
if, yeah.
That's fine. I'm not looking for somebody to come out there just for garage sale stuff. You know what I mean? It's not kind of a goal, you know.
Yeah, we have had people come here before and say, oh, we're gonna do this food truck and, court or whatever, and then it ends up that it becomes more of a mess maybe. And so that's, my concern is that we would be able to reevaluate it. And we're also working on an agreement from the city to rent the property for parking.
Yes, sir.
So the goal would be that it would be parking for city during the week, and then on the weekend, you basically move in and set up shop.
And then long term, this is actually a temporary deal. I mean, I'm going to be building a building over there eventually. You know what I mean? Again, I'm just trying to collect some more cash, and I need insurance to come down, stuff like that. So this is just more of a temporary thing. My family, my dad and I are both into this kind of stuff, and so I just thought it'd be kind of cool to do with family, if I'm being honest, you know what I mean? And I thought it'd be kind of a cool outlet as well. So this is not going to be in the next 10 years. This is going to be more of a temporary deal, if that makes sense, you know what I mean?
I totally hear you. I think that was the plan when the other lady started hers as well, and it just she didn't have the money together, and it just never, lifted off. I do have another question. I heard whenever you spoke to planning and zoning that someone asked where the parking was going to be.
Correct.
And the response was it's going to be on Railroad Street and Farquhar and maybe over here at City Hall.
Correct.
You are aware that we have lots of complaints about parking now, and so I'm curious if there was any feedback from the businesses that may be in the area that may be thinking about adding another 50 cars, or where do the truck and trailers drop? After they drop their stuff off, where do they go to park?
Yeah, so my idea was to go exactly on that backside of, when Lone Star Flooring is, on that backside of Railroad Street, it's not real, it's pretty vacant. There's not a lot of parking around there. So the goal was to kind of go down Farquhar and around, try to keep as much vendor parking as I can there. And then a lot of the parking that is around the lot itself, that'd be for customers when they come in. It's kind of the goal.
Okay, but you haven't heard anything from any businesses?
I haven't heard anything.
Didn't hear anything either.
No.
Okay. And then I have another question. I'm sorry to bring this up, but if it wasn't for being on the subcommittee for the parks, one of the things that Jason, I believe, staff recommended was not to have an organization use the name Navasota if they're renting at the Navasota Center, so that it couldn't be Navasota such and such. And I was looking at the name. It's called the Navasota Market. I'm wondering if there's any concern from council on the name itself, Navasota Market, if that causes any problem with use of the city's name.
It's not city of, it's just Navasota.
He's in Navasota.
I understand, but those are some of the questions that came up with the parks whenever we were talking about that. So I just wondered, the market on Holland, Navasota, Texas, could be one way to...
It's just more the fact, in the name, we're just trying to get more branding for the city, if I'm being honest. You know what I mean? So that way, whenever we do a Facebook post, something or whatever it may be, it's real clear where it is. That's kind of the goal, the whole thing.
Sure.
So, but
That was actually one of the things that staff said that they didn't want. So I was just curious at how that fits in.
have you guys been?
What happens when the city has an activity that blocks off Farquhar Street?
Yeah, I'm going to have real open communication with you guys. You know what I mean? This is not something that, if y'all have an event, I think that was even in there, right? If there's an event or something going on in the city, then, we'll just not do it or move it. I mean, this is not as far as it goes. I'm here for y'all, so it doesn't matter. So. And again, it's only going to be on Saturday and Sundays. This is not, again, I kind of joke, I got a full-time, I got a business and 3 kids and a wife, so I got enough going on, so I can barely try to juggle this on the weekends type stuff, but it's just an idea of what we want to do.
Anyone else to speak to this item? Yes, please.
Deborah Richardson, 1202 Lane Street. I agree with Mr. Harris. I don't see that that market is competing with the library. I just think it'd be one more thing. People want to come to Navasota and visit. It's like if you go to a city you go to do things, you just don't go for one thing. And so I think it would benefit the city if they, left it open on that day, even with the library's farmer's market. When I go places, I want to go to more than one place. I want to shop around. So I think it would be cool to have both. Thank you.
So council, one of the reasons we put this up is we kind of experienced this last year. If you remember last July, it was Parks and Recreation Month, and we hosted the movies in the park, and happened to be one of the movies was the same night as one of our Sounds of Summer, and there was an attendance a lot at the movies in the park. It was just a misscheduling way because the movies in the park came at the very last moment, and so that was just a thought. It's not something staff's sold on, but we just definitely don't want to pull anybody from the farmers market. And I hear what Neil's talking about, what he said, but there's nothing else in here. So. That speaks on competing, and so I understand what he said, but by putting this in there, it limits to holding him accountable to what he says. And so if we have it on, or not have it on one of the days, then we know it's not going to compete. But again, it's up to council. It's you're privy to either take that out or leave it in there. But just so you understand where staff's thinking was when we brought this up.
How often do other places, Neil, have this every weekend, or would it be that, I don't know, let's say in Bryan it's the first Thursdays or whatever, something to that?
Both. It's a lot of both. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of folks that have it, every weekend. And I'll be honest, we're going to try to figure out scheduling and see what's going to make sense. You know what I mean? Originally we thought, maybe setting two weekends a month. You know what I mean? But if it gets popularity, it'd be nice to have it every weekend or every Saturday. If we kind of get moving. Especially if we have like a normal thing, we kind of have people come through, you know what I mean, if there's popularity for it. So, and again, we'll adjust for that, if that makes sense.
Does it make sense for you to be able to do it every weekend? Just with capacity for just yourself and your family and all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've actually it's going to be me and my dad are going to be doing it. Again, he's retired, and I always try to put him to work with kids or whatever, so he'll be fine. So, yeah, but no, that's kind of our goal. Our goal is going to be whether that or we can hire somebody to run whatever. A lot of it's going to be online beforehand, so a lot of it is just literally organization to make sure people know where to go, get organized, get set up, and get moving. But everything should be taken care of before they even show up, if that makes sense. Everything will be paid, signed for, everything will be good. Everybody knows the rules and all that stuff before they even step on foot, step on the place. So.
And there was some question about,
Go ahead.
about the surface.
Yeah, no, it's going to have
to be some work.
Yeah, we're going to have to get some work on that. So, if I'm being honest, I wanted to see if this is going to get approved first before we start doing some improvements, kind of roll, so to kind of get going. And so now if it gets approved, that way we can start putting more surface and kind of get going, because it's pretty rough over there right now. You know what I mean? So.
And I was just going to say that I think again with the type things you're looking at, even with the farmers market at the library, it's already very full, and it's already heck to get in there.
Yeah.
So even if it pulled a couple from there, it wouldn't. I think it would enhance both if they were going on at the same time.
Sure. And also, I want to do a spot for the animal shelter too, because I know they get kind of overrun. So I thought, if you guys think it's a good idea, but I just thought it'd be kind of cool to have outlet for the animals, because I feel like half the time I look on there, they're pretty at capacity. So if we get enough people out, that'd be kind of cool. So figure that out.
Yeah, I would be in favor of removing that second Saturday and just let them operate on each weekend, because approved giving them a special use permit and then telling them when he can operate and everything. That's kind of putting them in some kind of holding pattern.
I do agree with just make it a 12-month, kind of like you were talking about.
Yeah.
So that it can be reviewed.
Absolutely.
Something else I would like to ask it. Josh hit it a few minutes ago about, are you going to keep it rock, or are you going to try to pave it?
No, it's either going to be like a small stone, you know what I mean, to put on, or we're going to do like a crushed asphalt or something. We're going to make a solid surface to make it make sense. The tough part about rock, it's either going to be dusty or it's going to be kind of hot. So we're going to try to figure out the the best surface that's gonna make sense on that. Obviously, it's not gonna be paved, but I mean, we'll do something to make it make sense so it's cohesive. It just won't be caliche, because that's gonna be hard on everybody, you know what I mean, as far as it goes, but.
Yeah, and you talking about building over there in the near future also, so you gotta put something there that you can move pretty easy.
You know, yeah, it's funny because I asked a couple builders about that, and they're like, "It doesn't matter what you put on, we're going to have to rip it off anyway." So I'm like, "Perfect, sounds great." So it doesn't matter, yeah.
Gonna go down in the dirt.
Yeah, no, I call and I go, "Hey, what would be best?" And they go, "It doesn't matter."
I guess it's a question for Jason here. I do remember reading something in an article, and I don't know, do this applies to it or not, but to open a business, you would have to have a paved parking lot, or is this somewhat totally different?
Yeah, I'm going to defer to my director on that.
So that specifically comes back to a specific use permit function. Like one of the things that Councilmember Foltz said about requiring a renewal at 12 months, that is another line item that we can add if council pleases to do that, or so chooses to do that. And so that is another requirement that you can have is, if you're going to explicitly grant him non-paved, just maybe gravel material, we can add a line in there that's vague enough to say gravel is okay. Because technically, when you develop a piece of property, we have certain requirements, asphalt or concrete. But this being a specific use permit, it gives council discretion to choose what kind of improvements are going to be allowable, and so they're unique, right? This is a very unique scenario. You wouldn't want all asphalt because it'd be really hot out there to walk around in, right? So you as council, you have the discretion to explicitly permit that. Just adding one more line basically to these bullet points to say loose material is permitted, right? For the vendor spaces. So we might even want to do that since that's already your plan anyway. Just adding one more line in here that says non-rigid material is acceptable. Actually, I'll write that down so we can add that in.
But if we didn't add it in, it wouldn't require him to do anything different than what he's doing now, right?
No, it not. It's just it kind of for transparency purposes. So if someone's like, "Hey, how come I have to pay?"
A year from now?
Yeah, I have to pay my parking lot. I'm building a new store. Why wasn't this new use required to do so? You could point to the specific use permit function.
Anyone else wish to speak to this item? We'll close the hearing at 7:04.
Mr. Mayor, I will move to approve ordinance 1048-24, adding the condition that it will be for a period of 12 months. And, go ahead.
I was going to say if subject to renewal at 12 months. We need an attorney to give us some language to say renewal at 12 months. With an extension at 12 months at the same time.
Option to renew.
Yeah, option to renew. Yeah, a 12-month renewal with option to renew at the 12-month mark from adoption.
Okay.
Is that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Then we get the attorney we'll get Carrie to review it just to make sure it's.
You got that piece?
Yep.
And then, also to remove section 2, line C. I'm sorry, the excluding second day of every month. That's specific.
Second Saturday.
Second Saturday, yeah.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fultz, second by Mr. Gessner to approve with the stated changes. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries. Item 9 is a public hearing to receive public comment and testimony regarding a zoning amendment application submitted to the City of Navasota by Cross Trails Development LLC for the property located at A0055-0D Tyler Abstract adjacent to Pecan Lakes Estates Phase 2. The zoning amendment application requests to amend the existing regulations outlined within the Pecan Groves Estates PUD, Planned Unit Development, additional design guidelines related to home design standards, street design standards, and parkland requirements. The property affected is legally described as A0055-0D Tyler Tract 4, 35.13 acres, located in Navasota, Grimes County, Texas. And we'll open that hearing at 7:07.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, to briefly summarize this item, the Pecan Groves Estates PUD, Planned Unit Development Zoning District, was approved January 23rd of 2023, last year, so early last year. Since then, as is the process, once zoning is approved for any project, especially in planned unit developments, the developer then starts to work with staff to get all the engineering, construction drawings, plating, all of that reviewed and approved in accordance with that planned unit development zoning. So in essence, the PUD sets the rule book, and then staff works with the developer following approval to make sure that the design of the project is going to meet all those requirements. During that time, there's been lots of discussion over the requirements, specifically needed sewer upgrades to make this project feasible, other requirements that are needed for utilities, and specifically the sewer. That's the big piece. And so last Thursday, Planning and Zoning considered an amendment to that rule book, or the planned unit development, where concerns were raised about some concessions to the parkland requirements that are outlined. And so those amendments to that PUD are also highlighted in your in the attached ordinance. But really, it's three main things that are being amended in that PUD rule book. The first is green space. It's in essence saying the city is not requiring any additional parkland, and no additional fees also don't apply. Home design standards were requiring that any home that's built on a lot that's 8,000 square feet or larger has to be a minimum of 1,600 square feet, and there also has to be masonry requirements on 3 sides of that home. The reason that that's there is because Pecan Lakes Phase 2 touches this project, and so we wanted to make sure that there's continuity and compatibility between those 2 phases. And then the last is the rigid streets. So Pecan Lakes, if any of you have driven through there, it's 100% concrete streets. We now have that as a requirement in our ordinance for concrete streets. However, this project, when it submitted for approval, it was before that was adopted, and so really the developer could have just gone in and done asphalt streets. So as a part of amending that rule book, the developer has also agreed to install concrete streets throughout. And so those big 3 things are what's being amended in that already approved PUD zoning district. So again, it's green space, essentially waiving that requirement, not needing it, and then the home design standards, exterior design standards, and then the rigid streets. And this is just a layout showing you the 3-sided brick homes touching Pecan Lakes Phase 2, and the minimum 1,600 square foot lot sizes. So 1,600 square foot home sizes, I'm sorry. And this item, of course, does tie in with the next item, which is item 10. That is a development agreement. So as part of the discussions, making sure that the development is not only going to serve the project itself, those infrastructure requirements are needed for this project, but it will also serve down the road when commercial frontage or other property in the surrounding area develops, making sure that that lift station is going to handle this development and some additional capacity for the future. It also does some work for connectivity. So the developer is also proposing to pay a $15,000 fee in lieu of sidewalk to fund a future sidewalk connection to August Horse Park And then also connecting the sidewalks from this development to Phase 2 of Pecan Lakes. So again, there's lots of things in here that staff and the developer have worked on over the last probably year, close to a year, to make sure that the developer is getting what he wants and the city's getting similar value for the project. And Mr. Brandon Goodike is here if y'all have any questions about the project specifically.
Mayor and council, also want to remind you, staff had a workshop with council. I know Councilmember Stevens, I think you attended that one, but you weren't a part of the discussion. But that was on February 26th, related to the workshop discussion possible Chapter 380 agreement for Pecan Groves. So nothing's basically changed on this. I know that Lupe didn't mention it, but we were made aware that the cost increases have increased. We have relayed that information back to the developer that the city's not willing to make any further adjustments because this is what was brought to you originally back in February. And as I mentioned, there was no comments. There was not a lot of discussion or feedback that staff received, and so we brought this back as an action item now. Developer is ready and willing to move forward with this project and wants to hit the ground as soon as possible.
So I always have a question about what's posed to us is the developer getting what he wants? He bought the property, and so I suppose therefore he got what he wanted in the property. There are things that we need to adjust at this point. It just feels, I don't know, it feels odd that we are going to pay the developer who came in, $123,000 to come in and develop the property. I think there's some assumption on his part that there's something that needs to be done when you buy the property. And so I'm curious to hear from the developer if some of these things if you knew that these things were going to come up, what was when the property was purchased, what did you knew that there were going to be things that had to be done, I suppose.
Yes, sir. Mayor, council members, and staff. Yeah, Brandon Goodike, Cross Trails Development. Like a lot of areas, we realize some development, obviously requirements are in there, but we also, through those, when we had some of the conversations with the original owner, some of the things were not disclosed to us or were disclosed inaccurately. And some of this was obviously before Mr. Weeks' tenure as well, so some communication from his predecessor to the individual we bought it from. Further analysis, certainly, some of these things could have been revealed, but some cannot, until we get through some of the engineering to understand capacities and those such things. We've been, pretty open with all the staff that's here. Our builders are both Ranger and Stylecraft, who are, Stylecraft is already building in there. But I think at this point, with the way the market has gone and prices increase, we're at right now exceeding levels that are, more than what they're building in Bryan. And so they're kind of reluctant to come down here and build without some concessions through the development agreement. And this is not uncommon for us to engage in those, with the city to make it beneficial to all parties. And there's some improvements in here that we'll be carrying. And like Lupe had said, there's already a price increase that we are not asking you guys for. We're willing to take that on because we're eager to get done. We've been kicking this can down the road for quite a long time. And so we're eager and ready to get going.
What are some of the things that required us to kick it down the road? What are the holdups? What were the holdups?
Some of it's just been design. I think, some of this has also been just understanding, and having to have some further understanding of the sewer and where, the lift station requirements. So our engineer and then obviously you all's engineer just having some of the dialect back and forth. And so that's just has taken time to fully understand and vet where we are today.
It's really none of my business, but who did you buy the property from?
Paul Malik. No, I'm sorry, not Paul Malik. Paul Hammock. Hammock. Got a lot of Pauls. Okay. And he still retains the front commercial property as well.
Right.
My question would be, you're developing this piece of property on the west end of town for profit, correct?
Yes, sir.
But you're asking the city to cut fees and permits and,
I don't think we're asking for the fees and permits to be reduced.
Just the parkland.
Yeah, the parkland,
Just the
which we're
parkland.
we're still putting in probably about just under an acre of the parkland.
so you're putting in 140 plus homes out there?
147, yes, sir.
Okay. If I'm not mistaken, it's pretty close to 700 homes already out there.
There's about 500 now. With this, it'd be,
Right, so-
it would get close to the 700.
The last, and correct me here if I'm wrong, the last developer that went out there, we had talked about walking trails. And I rode out there this past Sunday, and I couldn't find a walking trail. And in lieu of, it's supposed to be a walking trail in lieu of open space. Do I have that right or wrong?
The 10 acres at the back.
Yeah, Mr. Harris, I think you're referring to Phase 4 of Pecan Lakes. So there was a concession. Instead of the developer building things on the dedicated land, instead he was granted giving the city more land than needed as opposed to building things on the land. That was the last phase of Pecan Lakes, Phase 4. And so now the city has been deeded about 11 acres of parkland space, and it is on the southwest corner of Pecan Lakes. So the developer offered more land instead of the required land with improvements.
At the time, I was on P&Z, and I came to the council meeting following P&Z. Something was granted with one of the builders out there that it had to be a trail, and I can't remember exactly what it was. But it leads up to my question here. Who follow up to make for sure this is done?
Who follows up to make sure these are done?
Yes.
It'll be city staff.
Just out of curiosity, if I can ask another crazy question, what is the anticipated selling price of a lot? After you do all improvements and you're selling now to Stockcraft and to Ranger?
We'll be in the mid-50s.
Per lot?
Per lot. With a very low margin.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
140-something homes, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And how much green space or park space is
I think we're,
in the lines?
I think we have just under an acre, if I remember right. There's a southwest corner of our property that we still have allocated. If you look on the.
Which is about the size of this yard right here. It seems a little bit light for 140 homes.
And our objection is that, when you're looking at parkland space, maintenance, and that is taken on by tradition where we have had parkland and dedication by the city, and that was not a part of this case, and so it would be on the burden of our homeowners and the HOA. We brought it in front of our builders, and the builders had said that they don't feel like, they need more than what we're representing today.
Can you pull the plat back? Oh, never mind, there it is right there. Where is
It's that very bottom corner. Yeah, that whole that allocated right there, yes, sir.
What's that?
This is a mail kiosk and a little park. I mean, it's just a small park. It's just a little sitting area and a kiosk.
What are those?
There. Those are homes. Those are lots right there. Just be on the back side of those.
Small lot, big lot?
I don't remember the size of those. Most of those
Are they the?
they're probably, yeah.
So what size home goes in there? The little home or the big home?
You've got anywhere from 1,600 to 2,200 square foot homes that will go in there.
It's kind of hard to break all of this down into little chunks, but I think if I was going to break it down into a chunk, the green space to me is a chunk that I don't know. It seems to me to say that we are not going to charge them the fee in lieu of parkland. I would like to see us charge them for what they should have, what they should provide. Yes, there's a park next door, and then there was this, planning and zoning was this whole debate about what that looks like. But to me, living in a small neighborhood that had a parkland that the HOA had to pay to mow, it was about 3 acres of land. And we didn't put a park on it necessarily, but it was an open green space where the kids could go and fly their kite and play baseball and soccer. And so to me, it would feel better if we were getting something out of what you were bringing, other than, your development, clearly.
Sure, I understand that, and I think we've, as we've talked about some of the concessions that we're willing to take on some of those, concrete streets versus asphalt, so there's some give and take through the discussions that we've had with staff in order to try to land to where we are today on it. And we felt like we were all amicable with those agreements in place and those concessions, so.
Sure, and I think the amicableness was with the staff, and the staff gets input from council, who gets input from citizens. And so I think what we're hearing from, or at least me, from citizens is this is not a great deal for the citizenry, if you will. And so, and I'm speaking just about the green space at this particular moment, but I don't know. I think that we have to do better for our citizens than to say, no, you don't have to pay for it. We require it from everybody else, but we're not going to require it from you. I don't know that that's fair to our citizens. I don't believe it's fair.
Yeah, because if we set precedents for something, the next builder's gonna want the same thing.
Yeah, and I think that, I agree, and that's all part of every development agreement that I've been a part of. It's some things that we don't want to do, and some things that you guys don't want to do, and some things we do, and you guys agree to those things as council members, and so I understand, and I think those are, if that is the position, then we just have to consider, what, if it's something we would continue to do, or if there's another concession that we're talking about that we want to get back, such as asphalt versus concrete as well, in order to make up some of the difference. Because I will tell you, where this is for profit, but our margins are very slim, because we've committed to our builders at a certain point when we started this over a year ago, and with price escalations, we're maintaining that for our builders in order to keep things going, but our margins are not what they have anticipated to be, so.
So are you saying to us that you would, potentially, if we said, look, we came up with a different price, let's say that there was a price, but it wasn't whatever the going rate is, sure, that you could go back to your people and see if that's something that you could do, versus saying, we're just going to take our toys and go home?
No, I think, like everything, I think we're open to having some feedback, and would take it to my investors and to my partner as well, and we would certainly talk about it. But I think that's just as we said, that there's certain concessions that we've had, and I know we've had, like we talked about, the price increases that we've incurred on some of the improvements for the sewer and those stations and generators and those things, that we're going to bear those as not asking for any more dollars on that as well. And so I would hope that you also guys would consider that, if that is the case.
Mayor, Council, just also want to I know that we haven't touched on it. So all new developments require, majority of all new large developments like this require for the developer to put in natural gas. So the developer has agreed to run the utility lines, but what I'm hearing from the developer, unless things have changed, that's one of the ways that the home builders are finding a way to cut cost. So though the lines might be there, the more those lots cost, because he's gonna have to pass this on to the developer, to the home builders for these lots, they're gonna be trying to cut cost as much as possible. And so what we've heard is the majority of those homes will probably not have any gas connections at all.
Yeah, I think we've left it open to our builders, or right to the consumers that are there. I think we talked about that with them, and each one of those said for them to take it from the street to their house is another $1,500 plus the appliance cost, the differential between electric, and so their preference is to not go to gas. We're still going to install gas as required, but I think those, every time we creep and go back to them and push on price, you will get some potential for that, for sure.
With gas being the number one revenue for the city, I thought that one of the city ordinances said that if you have a new developer, that all the houses would have to have gas in it.
Actually it says that the utilities will run to the in front of the house, but it's up to the builder or the homeowner to bring it from the house, or from the street to the house. Yes, sir.
It amazes me at the developer's ability to come in and say, you've got your rules, but we're not going to follow them. We're going to change up this and change up that. And it seems like it keeps happening. We just had a developer here a couple of weeks ago, that kind of the same thing. So I get that it costs you money. I get that. And we certainly appreciate you, purchasing the property and trying to get us more houses here. I think that's a great idea. What would be the cost of the green space if it was the 3.3 acres or whatever you said earlier?
I can go off of memory and I get the exact figure, but I recall it being around 72,000 for the missing acreage or the shortfall. So you would take, I think, 146 divided by 48. Our ordinance requires 1 acre for every 48 houses. So it'd be a little over 3 acres, and so that shortfall would be about 2.3 acres. That is calculated based on the market value of the land and some other cost factors and some other math. Our Chapter 10 ordinance kind of outlines the way it works, but if I recall, it was about $72,000 worth of fees. If this was another situation and the developer was only opting to just pay the fees.
One of the other things that staff looked at, which Lupe mentioned earlier, is one of the concessions is for $15,000 for sidewalk fee for future connections. And so the thought was that there, at some point, the council has asked for a connection to be from August Horse somehow down Fairway to connect the subdivision. Well, that's one direction, and we learned quickly as the latest rainfalls we've had that cannot be on the east side of Fairway Drive, and so it'd have to be on the west side. So thinking with that, you got the gas station going on the corner. Well, there's a house that's in between the commercial development and the actual gas station, and staff figured up the total linear foot of that, along with a 6 or 8 foot sidewalk, and based on today's cost, and that's where we came up with that number. And so that could be something the council could pay. We'll remove that or net it against the amount that you're asking for. But again, so just so you understand, just development agreements in general, because you are right, you will be seeing another development agreement at some point that comes up. And I explained this to P&Z, is a development agreement is a tool where the city can try to get something and the developer is trying to get something. Since cities are unable to regulate what developments look like, though their HOAs are a little bit stricter, this is a way that we could guarantee somewhat what the development's going to look like. And so you already got established development with Pecan Lakes there. The original plan, of course, did call for a lot bigger lots, bigger houses. With the market the way it did, developer had to reduce those sizes, and staff along the way worked with the developer to see what this would look like. I mean, those were all lots were 1,400 square foot houses, and so we didn't think that was the best. And it was I think it was only front elevation, had some front brick and stone, and so we just didn't think that would look good backed up to what the current development is, and so that's when we started working with the developer on what that look would look like with the green and purple dots there. We did talk about the streets. So in my professional opinion, our streets have been neglected for many years, and so most of our streets in what we call Old Town are asphalt. Developments that are out there now are all concrete. Staff's opinion was we'd rather have concrete streets than a park. Some people will disagree with that, but I think for long-term maintenance, that was a lot better. In addition to where we are currently with our park system, to answer a comment that was asked of council, we will start getting feedback from our public. At the last council meeting, you awarded an agreement for looking at one of our parks. And the plan is to put a parks master plan in the budget for next year to start looking at all of our parks and start getting all of our parks. It is my opinion that we've got a lot that's been neglected. We want to make sure that we're able to maintain what we have. Lupe did mention we got 11 acres back in Pecan Lakes that we have no money to even build on. We've got Grace Park that's nothing to build on. And so we're going to have to start addressing those. In addition to that, you will know that we're in the process of getting a grant for a comprehensive plan. Comprehensive plan will take in consideration parkland and those type things. So I really think that we need to focus on looking at what that's going to look like in the future. But I understand council's concerns about open space. I know that when we do give credit, we give credit for parkland and different for
green space.
Green space. And so that's something that I think that really council, we need, planning and zoning council to think about is how that credit's given. Because there's a difference. A park has equipment on it, but green space is kind of what your Councilmember Fultz is you're leaning toward is that space where you can go do something. Councilmember Harris, what y'all were talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So right now, the way ordinance reads, it doesn't give the same credit for a park in open space.
Now, when you have a home association, do the city maintain green space or park?
So the HOA is supposed to. I will tell you that some of our counterparts to the north, that some of the concerns that they've had about the growth that they're experiencing is they're very concerned about putting in public improvement districts and those same things that are supposed to maintain the parks that are in the PIDs because their concern is the city's going to have to maintain them at some point. And so that's another concern. We need to make sure, and I understand that the developer puts the HOA together, but once that HOA is put together, the developer doesn't have any part of it. It's the HOA maintained.
But is it not fair to say that a developer would come in and want to put forward their best foot and make your development look?
We wouldn't want to say, oh, well, this is this XY construction company that built these dilapidated houses in front of Pecan Lakes. They wouldn't want to do that. They would want to be proud of their product.
Yeah, and let me speak to that. I would like to, if you want to compare products, I would challenge and show you many of the elevations that we will be delivering with Ranger and the requirements that we have with Stylecraft in here as compared to what you're seeing in your phase 4 now, where we're making requirements for elevations that you will not be able to duplicate, within the same street standards and or the same brick or any of the same colors. If I go drive around phase 4 right now, it's very blocky. It's very much the same type of product that you see there. There is no creativity, no imagination. You will see that in our community, so we will be putting our best foot forward by making those requirements of our builders within there.
And I'm also saying that, you know, the streets, would you not want a concrete street? Because this is your neighborhood that you're building, that you're gonna take pictures of and go off and say.
I've built many streets, as long as the construction standards are done well and monitored well through there. I've put in plenty of asphalt streets that are still held up very well today, that are 10 years old with very minimal requirements on them.
Well, and there's the potential
I'm still proud to drive through those today. I
Yeah.
can show you those.
In this neighborhood, you don't have a lot of passersby, so maybe concrete streets is not as huge of a deal. I mean, it's pretty, well, I mean, it is, it doesn't have a lot of throughway traffic, right?
Yes, and so the first street you see there, to the left, it was a straight shot, and up at the top there on the north side, it did come out up there where that, commercial piece.
Oh, push it on the way.
Yeah, the commercial piece right there.
That was a through street.
Was a through street, so, just meeting with the developer, that just wasn't a good idea to make that, there is the other. So, I will see that street there traveled a lot. Your two entrances off of Pecan Lakes Drive will be the two main entrances.
Can you point to those, please?
So Pecan Lakes Drive is to the left, right there. So you got the two entrances off that, and then you've got your main entrance off of 105.
And sir, I wasn't saying that you're building dilapidated houses. That wasn't my point.
Yeah. Well, I think you'll be very proud to see the product that we put in there. I think it's a very high standard, and
There's no doubt in my mind that you will do great work. I'm trying to think about the citizens that have pointed out to me that this doesn't seem fair.
sure, I understand.
When I say park, excuse me, Jim.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't mean a bunch of merry-go-rounds. We're talking about just green area for people to gather, you know. They'll go take their soccer ball or their little league t-ball bats or whatever it is. It's,
And the fact you've got August Horse right there very close with other amenities.
Yeah, so that was one thing P and Z asked. We did map it out. It was less, it was 0.4 acre or 4 miles.
Yeah, a little under half a mile to August Horse, walking or biking.
I drove down through.
Trails are more used than anything. But
I drove down through the neighborhood this past weekend, and I just wanted to see how many kids was out in the street riding a bicycle, walking, how many people were sitting in their yard. Quite a bit of elder people sitting in the driveway and everything. But my concern is that if the HOA is going to maintain the green space, the developer is going to it's going to be smelling like a rose, because the city won't be getting anything. The HOA association is going to be taking care of this property.
I guess I don't understand smelling like a rose. I don't know what that means when it comes to.
Well, okay, to make it more plain, you'll be getting more profit at the bottom line.
In what way? By not doing Parkland?
Yes.
Again, like we've made concessions with concrete streets. I mean, for me to go back and do asphalt streets, it would easily absorb what you're going to have me do from that. So if that's, again, I'm not using that as leverage. I'm just saying if that's where somebody give and take. Well, that's likewise, yes, sir.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just so for sure that before you decide to buy the property, you rode around the neighborhood out there and looked at the streets and everything, and in your mind, you said, you know, we're going to take after this, we're going to build concrete streets, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, but at the same time, we're going to see, can the city help us out, which I'm willing to do something, but you're asking for quite a bit.
So council also wanted, I think in the package, does it have the cost amounts?
Yeah, it'll be in the next item.
Okay.
Item 10.
All right. So just so you'll know on some of the cost items, with any development like this, there is a requirement to install a generator, and so there is not a generator at that lift station there, and so the city said, hey, we need a generator at that location. We would have to purchase it anyway. So let's just move it up, and this is one of the ways to get that done. And in addition to that, by doing that, we're splitting the cost on the engineering cost. So for us to outsource that engineering would have, I don't know the total cost, but a developer can do engineering costs a lot cheaper than the city can, and they're splitting the cost for that. In addition to that, there are some other upgrades that's being made to the 6-inch force main extension. Again, doing a percentage of that extension as well. So the largest piece of that amount coming back that we're actually paying them is for those two pieces that we believe that we, number one, need and is going to be great for that entire development.
Well, I'm a big fan of parks, green space. As I've been riding through the neighborhood on this past Sunday afternoon, quite a bit of homes that have already been bought out there that have for sale signs in the yard. At first, we're so good for people to move here, but when they move here, we don't do anything to keep them here. So, when there's that many homes out there and you have to sit in your driveway, can't go to a green space and sit up underneath a tree or something like that, that bothers me.
Understood.
I mean, we want people to come.
Yeah.
But when they come, we want to keep them.
Right.
But, with a subdivision being that new, and with that many for sale signs in the yard out there, something is going wrong. And I don't know what it is.
I got no issue with generators. I love them. I sold 50,000 of them in my career. And I think water plants and lift stations need that. I'm just like to just see a little more grass out there.
I really hate to ask, but I'm going to. The 5-foot setback, which is under Exhibit C, A, permitted uses, D, is 5 foot the typical, the normal standard that we operate on, or did we reduce that size from 7 to 5 based on their request?
Correct, yeah, the original PUD that was approved in 2023 reduced that setback, and that's kind of the running trend in the market right now. I know I speak a lot with our new building official, Nick, and even in Bryan, College Station, they're seeing the same thing. That 5-foot side setback is, even though most cities still have to go through a PUD process to approve it, to amend their adopted requirements, it's kind of like the market trend. That's more rooftops, and obviously it helps fund some of that infrastructure cost, the more houses you fit. But yeah, that was amended from the city requirements in the original PUD.
I wouldn't have done that.
You said, is it the same as Pecan Lakes?
Yes.
Open hearing. Anyone else wish to speak to the,
Item 10. Okay.
excuse me?
I just thought that, but that's 10.
I'll go ahead and get it.
So first thing, not to get sidetracked, but I did want to compliment the CIP project. I live on Water Street, and although it took eons to get my road, the contractor was awesome. They were super nice. Although I guess the only concern I have is I never know when to move my car at 7 a.m.
No, I do hear you on that one.
Walked in.
And
What do I do?
part of that ends up being, we've talked going forward on doing smaller chunks worth of projects where you can communicate more.
Yeah.
Frankly, if I was sending out a nav notify or a Facebook post to every single block in this project every single time, it would have flooded. It would have been
noise, but I do appreciate it.
But they do.
We
They
know
did
that
an
needs to be
excellent
better.
job, and they were very nice to everybody, so.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mayor, council, city manager. Ethan Barczak, 903 Water Street. I moved here with my family in 2021, started a business here, and I'm currently purchasing a second business and relocating it to Navasota from Houston. I want to just take a minute to address why I voted against the 380 amendments that were presented at P&Z last week. Fortunately, where my home is located on Water Street, there are 2 parks within 3 blocks of my front door, and I visit them daily, if not every other day. If I were to move into this development, or if those were the only available homes, I would have to walk a half a mile each way if the sidewalk is built to August Horse, which is along 105 that's already had and been noted for fatalities and car wrecks this year. As a reminder, council, we as a community dictate our expectations to developers versus offering concessions. Developers are in the business of providing rooftops for long-term living, and not every developer and or their plans are a good fit for our city. A community without ample dedicated green space or without a safe access to it only adds rooftops, but does not add communities to our city. These are the reasons why, as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, that I voted against the amendments as presented, and I request that council do the same. I know you can negotiate a better agreement, and if not, at least require fees to build up our park funds to better maintain the parks in the surrounding area of the development. I encourage you to step back and think about what kind of communities you want to build and promote, or which ones you would want to live in if you were looking for a home. As a city, we need to be focused on building communities and not just rooftops. Thank you.
Connie, do you want to speak at this?
I wasn't sure where it went.
Well, yeah.
They're kind of tied. 9 and 10 are kind of.
Connie Clements, 300 Hillside Street. Kind of have to rearrange what I wrote. First of all, I'm not one of the citizens that talked to Josh, just for the record. But
Thanks for putting that on the record.
Okay, yeah. but I have that same feeling of discomfort. As a taxpayer, I feel like somehow I'm being responsible to pay for or bail out, and I don't mean this personally, error in judgments or lack of foresight or whatever when it comes to the real estate market. And obviously I'm not an expert in that either. But it feels like we're diverting services that could be used elsewhere to entice people to come in. On a related subject, recently our Grimes County Commissioners Court and county engineer heated the wheel of their constituents when a developer requested a variance to the county's minimum 60-foot lot width for 40 feet lot widths with 5 feet side setbacks. It wasn't granted, and if you've driven out in the country, out into the county, you will see that current subdivision regulations haven't discouraged development in the least. The people that are coming here want to be here. They're developing, and they're developing according to the standards that exist. And I don't understand why, people are coming to Navasota and they want us to change our ordinances and our rules or whatever. Anyway, everybody talks about controlling growth, but it seems to me part of controlling growth would be focusing on quality instead of quantity. And by that, I mean courting higher quality housing on larger lots and some custom housing. And I'm not a demographics guru, but I would think that that would pump up our financial demographics and make us more attractive to a wider variety of retailers. As far as the 5-foot setbacks and it being a trend, I'm going to disagree because there were a lot of people who made comments and people that did some research at the county public hearings about College Station in Bryan, and they did not have 5-foot setbacks. But people are calling it a trend. It's only a trend if you allow it. It becomes a trend when you allow it to happen. And if you say no, then that stops it. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, well, we close the hearing at 7:52.
And so let me ask this question if I can. If it is denied, if the agreement's denied here, can we go back, our staff go back and reevaluate or revisit? Is that kind of the plan, if that were to happen? I mean,
Yeah,
can
so
we
this-
be able to do that?
Or we could just take no action on item 10?
So item 9 is, that kind of complements each other. They're tied together because of it, specifically since about the parkland dedication. So 9, you could take no action, and the zoning amendment would just stop there, and then just skip 10 or no action on 10.
Because I think there's been enough comments and concern to warrant if they would consider some of these things that have been discussed, and maybe just come back with another revised proposal.
Yeah, that's what I would agree to also, is just go back to the drawing board.
Is it postpone or?
Table.
Table?
No, you don't table.
No, not table.
Postpone till the June 10th.
Put it on another agenda.
Yeah, postpone it till the June 10th council meeting.
We can take action on that.
Yeah, so you would.
You'd make a motion.
Make a
to
motion to
postpone item.
postpone till
I'll
June.
entertain a motion to postpone. Then I made the motion and you second, okay. I moved to postpone, we have a second. A second by Mr. Stevens. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries.
I'd ask the same thing on 10.
That was 10.
Well, we're on 9. That was 9.
No, I closed the hearing
Yeah,
already.
Yeah,
That's
but
right,
there
then
was
you
an
took
action for
on
the
that.
ordinance. And so
There was
that's what y'all
action
just
on
put
that item.
action on for that.
10 is the actual development agreement itself. The staff would ask for the same.
Yeah, it can be the same motion on both.
Okay, I'll move that we postpone item 10. Is that, what do you want to say?
Second.
Okay, second. Motion and a second to postpone. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, none.
Mayor and council, staff is, just FYI, so staff is requested to pull 12 and 13 from the agenda.
Okay. Is there 11?
There's
We are doing 11, right?
There is 11.
Okay.
Sorry, I jumped ahead.
Okay, item number 11 is consideration and possible action on approving a Cisco collaboration flex plan contract with DataBox, upgrading the City Hall phone system in the amount of $55,406.13.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, at the March 18th City Council Budget Retreat Workshop, or actually it wasn't a retreat, it was a workshop, staff discussed some of the big needs coming up for this next fiscal year, starting in 24 to 25. One of those items that we brought up was our phone system. The phone system was great. It had been operating fine for almost 12 years when this building opened in 2011. I think we jinxed it by saying how good it's been operating, because as with all electronics, things eventually fail, and it did. We were able to get it back up and running, operational to at least take phone calls. However, it's been about probably a month and a half now. There's no voicemails. So obviously that's our frontline receptionists. They're doing a great job on when someone calls, they take their name, take their number, and email the respective staff if they're not available. But obviously that's creating more workload on them, and it does impact customer service when you can't leave a voicemail. And so we looked at all the options, repairing the current system, upgrading. Those are really just not feasible with the age of the system. It's a 11-year-old system technology. The way things move now, we all get new phones every year. With technology, it moves really quickly. In 6 months, most things are obsolete. And so this proposed contract is with Datavox. They're kind of like a middleman between Cisco's WebEx and the customer. They have the expertise and the knowledge to program this system, make it work, function, and most importantly, have a smooth transition from our current on-premise system to the cloud. And so with this new system, it is a web-based, cloud-based service. Right now, we have a fancy box upstairs that handles all inbound and outbound calls. With this new system, it's all in the cloud, it's all on the internet. And so all you need is an internet connection, and your calls will come in seamlessly. A big benefit of this, and I think I mentioned this even at the workshop, is the customer won't know if you're at home or if you're at the office when they call you, and if you have your computer on you. There's also like a software phone application installed on your desktop or laptop, and so it just adds a lot of seamless connectivity between customers and obviously staff. A big thing is the cost. Obviously, we were looking at adding it as a wish list item in the next fiscal year, beginning in October. With the system failing, as I mentioned again, I think it's important for our customer service to get this back up and running as quickly as possible. And so we're looking at the current budget, to see if we have any funds available to utilize. One of the funds that we found is our Encode 10 upgrade. That is our utility billing and accounting software. We budgeted $94,000 for this fiscal year. However, there's lots of cities upgrading right now to that version, and so the software company for Encode 10, we're not on the list this fiscal year. It'll probably be next year, and so we have $94,000 of being able to move those funds around and make this work. And so with this proposed system, it's a total of $55,000 and some change. The biggest cost is obviously all the licensing. And then the professional services by Datavox to get the system up and running. There is some reoccurring fees after that'll just come up every year for licensing cost. However, we've done the math, and we're going to actually have some savings long term when we get rid of the old on-prem phone system to the cloud. And so that'll be highlighted in this upcoming budget. And if y'all have any questions, myself can answer.
Well, Encode will keep running okay, though. It's not going to affect Encode.
Yeah, no, Encode's fine. It's the software. It's still supported. The problem with this phone system is it's just really expensive. We got a quote for $10,000 to try to essentially wipe the system and rebuild it from scratch. But the Datavox themselves and others, they couldn't guarantee that it would even work afterwards. And so because it's not supported, it's just not. We just felt like it wasn't a good use of funds to spend, a lot of money on a box that might not even work.
So, how many companies did we reach out to give us an estimate for a phone system? My company just bought a new phone system through another company that was not quite this expensive.
Yep.
With 175 extensions or something like that. So, who did we reach out to, and this was the lowest bid?
It wasn't the lowest. It was in the middle of the pack. We reached out to 3. Verizon actually started a new cloud phone company with our Verizon rep. We walked through it. We looked at all the demos. We got feedback. We called some customers. They said the service was good, but there was just some issues on the back end that they were still experiencing even a year later. The highest quote we received was for basically a copy and paste of this quote from a different company, not Datavox, but another kind of middleman. I think their service fee was a little over $40,000. So that was the highest. the difference between the lowest quote and these two quotes that we received is that police department, we have to have some level of on-premise phone call system. So included in this quote is a smaller box that's going to be new and it's not going to break to just handle non-emergency lines for a police department. Those we cannot move to the cloud because non-emergency lines, if somebody calls dispatch, you have to record that call. Well, all of these phone calls that happen in the cloud are encrypted, so you can't listen, or the software can't record the calls. And so this quote includes 2 on-premise phones for police department, and then the rest of the city moving to cloud. And the goal is eventually to not only have City Hall in the cloud, but have all satellite facilities in the cloud too. So that would include the library, the fire department, wastewater treatment plant, and have everyone be able to dial each other with extension and forward with extensions.
What is the cost savings to not having everybody on the cloud, just buying a regular system? I mean, we don't have to have all the bells and whistles potentially.
Mm-hmm. No, right, and that's why for when you move to the cloud, you wanna do that at scale when your numbers start to go up on how many users. If we only had, for example, like the wastewater treatment plant, I think there's 2 phones there or 2 lines. You know, that's why we're doing City Hall first, because this is the most amount of users where we actually get the bang for the buck. The smaller scale, it doesn't make sense, but since we're already upgrading City Hall, in the future we'll look at, and of course we'll crunch those numbers to see if there's savings. But yes, if it's a one office with 1 phone, just stick with your old phone system and you'll be fine.
Yeah, but you were saying that if you were at home, nobody would know that you answered, but I'm going to guess that city staff is not going to be at their home answering their phone since we don't allow them to work from home. So I just don't know that that's really needed.
Well, I mean, but I will tell you, it does come in handy, the email notification. There's times when staff, I might not even be able to come into the office. And so when I have someone says, well, I called and left you a message, well, I can't get my messages unless I'm physically here. It does come in and help.
And I guess using the word home is like a good example would be conferences. Lots of staff travel for conferences, and so if you're sitting at the conference, in an educational session, and you get a message in your email that says, "Hey, here's your digital voicemail. You can listen to it." Like Jason said, that's a huge benefit to be able to listen to that voicemail in between a session, instead of the customer waiting until you're back from that conference.
Yeah, I think you're talking about 2 different things though, because I don't have the voiceover, but I do get an email with the transcript from the service that we're currently paying for. So I'm just saying that service, what you're talking about, is available potentially on a cheaper plan than having phone calls go through the web.
Right, and it's all part of the package. So this package includes that and many other features.
That's what I'm getting at, is what is the lower package, and can we go with a lower package? Do we have to have all the bells and whistles? That's what I'm asking.
I guess we could get an updated quote. Yes.
I'm just curious if it saves us money. I mean, if it saves us, $20,000 to not pay for the web service.
I want to say that I'll confirm with the salesperson, but I want to say that with Cisco licensing, it's really just the amount of users that makes a difference. I don't think that we could say, hey, we don't want to be called from anywhere, because that's just the nature of the way that's designed, right? A big benefit of having it in the cloud and being able to receive that call anywhere is that, let's say a catastrophic thing happens and a contractor hits a fiber line.
I was about to say I would have loved to have that feature on the CIP project. For a lot of times contracting work hours are at 7, we get in the office at 8. It would have been nice. Or, something happens after hours with dispatch, being able to have that little bit faster response. We know that it's there because there are times, where we had water out at Hill Street and it was like 8, 9 o'clock at night, and that could have been an easy call from dispatch that binged up on my phone, alerted me. I could have gone away, and instead it was just kind of round robin on cell phones, trying to get that all coordinated for 30 minutes to an hour. So that would have been a nice feature specifically.
Well, and what I was kind of alluding to is that if there was a catastrophic fiber cut that took out both of our internet connections, our primary and our backup, having an application on your phone with cell service, you could still answer calls, and the customer wouldn't know any difference if you're using the internet from the city or the internet from a hotspot from a phone. So it takes away the central point of failure, and it just gives you a lot more flexibility. That's really the most benefit of it. Is it allows you to always be connected no matter what internet you're connected to.
I hear you. I understand.
But I will confirm if there's any price difference. I don't think so. Really, the only thing would be like systems like the digital voicemail. That'd probably be the only thing you could cut, because everything else is built into the system itself by being cloud.
Right, there's another option to cloud, which would still give you the same email with your voicemail on it, and you've got call forwarding on your phone, so you could call forward from your desk phone to your cell phone from a distance, right? I'm just saying that if there's a way to save money, I would love to see that we've looked at all of those options.
And we did look at on-premise systems, not going with the cloud, just basically getting the new model of what we have upstairs that's broke. That was more costly upfront because of the cost of the hardware and everything else.
So right now it's working without voicemail?
Yes.
It's ringing?
Yes, phones ring.
But I will tell you, by not having voicemail has been a challenge.
Oh, I'm sure. I can't even imagine. That's back in the day. So if we approve this, could you look at, if there's another option, if there is, maybe bring it back to us and say, hey, that we found another option. We could approve this now and you bring it back? If you found an additional option.
Mm-hmm.
But, so you could prove not to exceed.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest. If we can get it cut.
Okay. I'll move to approve the Cisco collaboration files not to exceed the amount of $55,406.13.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Poole, second by Mr. Gessner to approve the Cisco Collaboration Flex Plan contract with DataVox of upgrading City Hall phone system in the amount of not to exceed $55,406.13. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries. Skipping 12 and 13. Item 14, consideration of possible action on resolution 770-24, accepting the water, sewer, gas, street, and underground storm water drainage improvements in Washington Park, Block J, lots 1 through 12, except entrance signage, common areas, detention pond, and open channel storm drainage improvements in the city of Navasota.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, Roosevelt Street has been in construction for the last 6 or so months. All the infrastructure has been installed and inspected in accordance with city standards. Kirk Franklin is here as the representative for the engineer on the project that designed it. And again, similar to Hidden Hills Phase 2, our public works staff have done a great job on ensuring that what's on the drawings, it's what's been built in the ground. And I think just last week we finally received the last past inspection for sewer. And so staff is recommending to accept or approve the resolution accepting the infrastructure. This proposed project will bring 12 new rooftops to the city, and all permits have already been applied for. They're just pending approval.
I was going to ask her the timeline. Are they looking to really start building right away?
I've gotten an email probably weekly checking in on what's the status. So
They've already applied for their water meters.
Right.
I do have one question. Coming off 379, going straight down on the right-hand side, is there a reason why it's not a curve on the street, why it's flat?
Curve. Oh, in the center line of the road?
No, at the end of the road, going down, you got residents that live on the right-hand side going down there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it just seemed like that when it rains a whole lot, water's just gonna run straight down the street over into their backyard.
I think it's because that neighborhood where we're trying to connect this street that has curb and gutter with
Well, curb is what I'm talking about.
Right.
We
Yeah.
have a curb on the right-hand side.
Right, curb, and I think most of this neighborhood, or at least where it connects to, excluding Roosevelt, is all the bar ditch. So it's kind of hard when you're trying to combine a curb and gutter street with a bar ditch street. You kind of have to get creative, and they came up with the best design possible that would work with the surrounding drainage system already, right? So you're connecting water running in the road versus water running in the ditch, and that it's a little different in that intersection for sure. But if Kirk wants to chime in, or
Well, I guess my question too is at the very end, that street dead end and then makes a curve to the right. Is there a culvert running up underneath that street?
yes. They connected to an existing culvert that the city put in with a big drainage grant a few years ago.
Actually, there's a channel now where
And now there's a channel.
where there wasn't a channel before, so.
Right.
It should.
So that was a specific you're talking about over on, I believe it's Wright Street at the new dead end, not the old dead end, correct, sir?
The brand new one, yes.
Yes.
Roosevelt
So
Street.
we actually worked quite a lot here with Kirk to make sure. They actually put an area inlet. It's an extra one. So if you remember right there at Wright Street, after that recent drainage project, y'all actually ran, I think it was a 36-inch all the way out culvert, all the way out from that there's that inlet across from that last house. Would have been that last house on the left-hand side of
Where we picked up.
Yep, right.
Where they.
So,
where they
you're talking
did it
about
before.
over on this side, correct, sir?
Right.
So there is right about where my hand is, somewhere in that shaken area, was an area inlet, and we actually, when we ran that area inlet, we ran it all the way down to the ditch. You kind of see it right there falling out. So what they did with their drainage is, for starters, they took it to about right here, and this water falls this way into that existing ditch. This water falls this way into an inlet they installed on top of that existing culvert to allow the water to fall into that culvert. There was spare capacity in that culvert that they were able to use, and that gets all that water gone and back out into, at the end of the day, that big ditch line on the south side.
Yeah.
So that is an area we specifically addressed in this project to make sure.
Thank you. Thanks, John.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve Resolution 770-24.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gessler, second by Mr. Schultz to approve Resolution 770-24. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries.
Thank y'all.
Item 15, consideration and possible action to authorize the city manager to execute a contract with Halls Hill and Associates LLP to perform certain professional services with respect to annual reporting and other necessary functions for tax increment reinvestment zone 1 in Navasota, Texas.
Mayor and council, if you'll remember, last year we created and amended our tax increment reinvestment zone 1 in Navasota, which encompasses the majority of the area in the city limits and our ETJ on the east side of Highway 6. There's a couple of places on the west side of the Highway 6 that included. Part of that requirement is annually for reporting, as well as expenditure caps and those type things that we need to look at on an annual basis. We hired Halls Hill and Associates to help us with the TERS and have reached out to them to assist us on this annual process about completing the necessary forms. And so we're asking for an expenditure cap tonight of $30,000 per fiscal year. And also that included in your documentation the fee structure for $300 per hour for professional services and $150 per hour for administrative support. Again, this is for our TERS number 1. A representative from Halls Hill, Nicole Zimmerman's here tonight if you have any questions.
is pretty much standard procedure.
This is just standard. We have no plans spending $30,000, only, again, since the TERS just started up, there's not a lot to have to do, but there is, the state does have some requirements, and myself and staff, it's all new to us, as well as for our appraisal district for TERS, and so any assistance we can get to help out to follow along with this process is helpful. But again, there's no plan on spending $30,000. It's just a cap that we like to put in place.
Yeah, it was pretty much our understanding going into this that they would do all the administration.
Yes, sir.
And it keeps them on call and,
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the contract with Halls Hill and Associates.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gessner, and I believe I heard the first second by Mr. Stevens. I think he beat you to it, I'm sorry. Okay.
Horse and all.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries. Number 16, Mr. Mize is ready to roll. We have an NRA grant presentation.
Mayor, City Council, Mike Mize, Chief of Police. This is basically update and the final report for the NRA grant I sent a while back during the weeklies. We applied for this grant last fall. We were awarded this grant, which we received a little over $2,000. That part of it's required, or it is required, we have to use it on training ammunition. And so we used that money and a little bit of our funds from our ammo budget and purchased several thousand rounds of 9mm and .223 rounds. So we can do annual training, stress training and so forth, and also we're going to use a little bit during the Citizens University. And the other part of the grant, we got 10 hearing protective devices, and we just passed those out to the officers to use during our training.
Great. Thank you for doing that.
One question, Mike. When will the Citizen University be going to the shooting range?
During the police department.
Oh, during the police department. Okay.
Last year, I think it
Last year we
rained.
extended a long time in here, so we're going to try to shorten it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
We plan on doing it during Citizens University when we present.
Okay.
One of those field trips.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking because
That's the one you want to go to.
Yeah. Because I want to shoot.
We ain't got enough ammo.
Need another grant.
We'll call Cliff going.
There's no action item on this.
No, you're right. Thank you, Mike. Item 17 is the consent agenda, which is the second reading of ordinance 1045-24 relating to speed zones, which specifically designate additional areas which rates of speed of 30 miles per hour or more are authorized, and second reading of 1046-24 speed zones, which rates of 30 miles per hour or more are authorized. Did I just say that twice?
Yeah. That was a different number. 45,
Okay,
46.
is that right?
Yes.
Same ordinance number, the same thing?
One's 1045, one's 1046.
No, I understand, but.
Two different
don't they
areas.
say the same thing?
It's two different areas, though.
Two different areas, the ordinances.
One's on 105.
Alright.
One's on 90. Mr. Mayor,
Motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gessner, second by Mr. Foltz to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, item carries. And item 18, executive session. City Council will conduct an executive session in accordance with Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney, consultation with legal counsel regarding the City of Navasota water and sewer utility service areas, including but not limited to PUC of Texas, docket number 54806 regarding G&W Water Supply Corporation and associated matters, and Section 551.071 consultation with attorney, consulting with legal counsel regarding the City of Grand Prairie versus State of Texas, defendant, and 2020 Long Tail Trail Investments, LLC, intervenor, cause number D1GN23-007785 of the 261st Judicial District Court, Travis County, Texas. And the time's 8:21. We'll reconvene in open session at 8:50 PM. There's no further business on the agenda. We are adjourned.